Hey guys, it's Mrs. Wilby. So this is our first reading focused video. Each week we're going to start getting two videos that you can watch with some lessons that you can take with you and practice on your own. And you can just see my smiling face in case you missed me. So this week we're going to focus on something called context clues. And we've talked a little bit about this throughout the school year, but this really focuses down at the sentence level and kind of breaks it apart a little bit more to help you figure out words that are difficult without having to look them up. Sometimes there's clues that you can look for within the rest of the text. So we're going to get practice doing that today. So as we look, our target for today is I can use words in a sentence to help find the meaning of an unknown word. So this is like if I were reading something and I come across a tricky word and I'm not sure what it means. This is a strategy you can use to try and figure that out first before you do something like go ask somebody or look it up in a dictionary. A lot of times authors leave clues that can really help you out just by rereading the sentence and looking a little bit more carefully. So, context clues, again, are hints that an author gives to help define a difficult or unusual word within a book or sentence. The clue may appear within the same sentences as the word to which it refers, or it could follow in the next sentence. So sometimes you have to search a little bit more than just that sentence that it's in, but it's usually pretty close around where it is, either in that sentence or the sentence right after. So we're going to get some practice with that. So there's different types of context clues that we'll be looking for, and we'll have examples of each of those in the following of the rest of the video. So one type of context clues would be a definition. This is where the word may be defined in the sentence. It might just say exactly what it is in the sentence. Another type of context clue is an example. So there might be an example of the unknown word in the sentence or paragraph. So if I know an example of it, then that helps me get a better idea of what it actually is. Another type of context clue is a synonym. So I would be looking for a synonym or another word that means the same thing as the sentence that or paragraph in that sentence or paragraph that help the reader or help me to figure out that tricky word. And finally, you also might have an antonym that you can see within the sentence or paragraph. Remember, an antonym is the opposite. So I might see kind of a non-example or an opposite example of that word, and then that can help me figure out as well. So let's dive right into a couple of different practices. So we'll kind of read through these together. I'll have you listen to these first couple of ones, but if you want to pause, I really encourage you, after I'm done reading it out loud to you, I would highly encourage you to pause the video before I give away the answer and try it on your own to see which one you would choose and see if you're correct. So we'll go through each of these and hopefully you'll be pausing along the way and figuring them out as well. So this first one says, Margaret had ambivalent feelings about attending the concert. She knew she'd enjoy the music, but she didn't really want to go out in the rainy weather. So you can see that ambivalent is underlined, and it's asking us, what do you think ambivalent means? And then we want to talk about why. So these kinds of questions are also questions that you're going to see a lot on some of those tests that I know are your favorite to do, like MAP tests and ISASS, those sorts of things, that even though you may have lucked out on not having to take some of them this year, you'll have to take them in the future. And so just knowing this skill will help you with these types of questions. But really the big picture is if you're reading a book or an article or just something that you're interested in, to do that. So it is a skill that's important. So let's get back to this of ambivalent. If I'm thinking about what does ambivalent mean, Margaret had ambivalent feelings about attending the concert. She knew she'd enjoy the music, but she didn't really want to go out in the rainy weather. So as I'm looking at this, I see that there is actually an example within this. So if you look at the highlighted part now, it says she knew she'd enjoy the music, but she didn't really want to go out in the rainy weather. So on one hand, she's saying, I really know that I'm going to like the music, but it's rainy and I don't want to just sit out in the rain listening to music. And so if she has kind of conflicting feelings about that, she has kind of mixed feelings about attending the concert. Ambivalent would mean mixed. She feels one way and the other at the same time. Let's look at another one. Unlike my parents who love classical music, I detest it. What do you think detest means and why? So go ahead and pause the video and think about that. And when you're ready, I'll explain and you can press pause or press play. All right, so detest. Unlike my parents who love classical music, I detest it. So this one actually is giving me an antonym. It says, unlike my parents who love classical music, if my parents love it and I'm unlike my parents, that means that I have to be the opposite of loving it. So if detest is the opposite of love, then the best answer would be hate, that I hate classical music. Let's take a look at the next one. Regular exercise is beneficial to your body, but too much exercise is not good for you. What do you think beneficial means and why? Is it helpful, harmful, or pleasant? Pause the video and see which one you think and why. Maybe explain it to yourself or explain it to somebody else in the room, and then you can press play to hear my thinking. So if regular exercise is beneficial to your body, but too much exercise is not good for you, I'm going to look at a couple of pieces. If too much isn't good for me, but regular exercise is, it's kind of giving me an example in this one, that regular exercise I'm going to think is good for your body. It's kind of also an antonym because too much exercise is not good for your body. So regular exercise must be pretty good for your body, or helpful. Helpful would be the one that makes the most sense. Moving on, we have number 4. Before the surgery, the nurse promised that all of the instruments were sterilized and completely washed. So again, pause, think about which one you would think sterilized means and why. Clean, new, or available. So when I'm thinking about this one, I can see that it kind of gives me the definition of sterilized right in the sentence. It says sterilized and completely washed. So if it's sterilized and completely washed, that must mean that it's clean. It's not new, it's not available. Clean would be the best answer. Number 5, Mary sneered at the ugly sweater. Wow, she said, that is just hideous. What do you think hideous means and why? Expensive, cheap, or unattractive? So this one also kind of gives me a definition here. She's sneering at the ugly sweater, and she's saying that that is just hideous. So if it's ugly, then that means it must be unattractive. It's not a very nice sweater. She does not like it. Number 6, when I was caught in the rain, my clothes were saturated and completely soaking wet. What do you think saturated means and why? Ruined, thoroughly wet, or cold? So thinking about this one, if I was caught in the rain, my clothes were saturated and completely soaking wet. So if it says and, that means it's connected to that word. And so I have to use my thinking here. Again, it's kind of a synonym, the same thing, soaking wet. I'm in the rain. So if something is saturated, it's really, really wet. So the definition of saturated would be thoroughly wet because they're in the rain and it says and completely soaking. Let's take a look at another example. We just have 2 more left. The pudgy baby panda bear looked chubby and round. What do you think pudgy means and why? Plump, thin, or black and white? So pudgy baby panda bear looked chubby and round. So I know one of the options is black and white, and that is something that panda bears are, but that doesn't really make sense that it would say a black and white panda bear. I know that's not another way of saying that. And it says looked chubby and round. So that's probably not going to be thin either. So this one gives me a synonym as well. So chubby and round is the same as pudgy. So plump would be my best answer. All right, let's look at one more example, and hopefully you're getting the hang of this as we're doing it together. So many people say that I am very different from my twin sister. She is reticent while I am very friendly and outgoing. What do you think reticent means and why? Rude, shy, or nervous? So thinking about this one, it says that I am very different from my twin sister and I am very friendly. So if I'm different, I'm friendly, and she's different than me. So that must mean that she's kind of the opposite, an antonym of that. So reticent must be the opposite of friendly. So, and outgoing. And so that must mean that she is shy. So hopefully, again, you're getting a hang of this. Hopefully you can use this skill as you are reading. Yes, this is a skill that you'll use on some tests that you'll encounter. However, my big goal for you is to be able to figure out some of those trickier words as you're reading, because really a lot of times the authors give you really good clues when they use some of those bigger words to be able to figure it out on your own. Again, I hope you're doing well, and I hope to see you on our next video chat so I can see your lovely smiling faces. Stay well and stay safe.